بسم الله إن الحمد لله نحمده ونستعينه ونستغفره ونؤمن به ونتوكل عليه ونعوذ بالله من شرور أنفسنا ومن سيئات أعمالنا من يهده الله فلا مضل له ومن يضلل فلا هادي له وأشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له وأشهد أن محمدا عبده ورسوله يا أيها الذين آمنوا اتقوا الله حق تقاته ولا تموتن إلا وأنتم مسلمون يا أيها الناس اتقوا ربكم الذي خلقكم من نفس واحدة وخلق منها زوجها وبث منهما رجالا كثيرا ونساء واتقوا الله الذي تساءلون به والأرحام إن الله كان عليكم رقيبا يا أيها الذين آمنوا اتقوا الله وقولوا قولا سديدا يصلح لكم أعمالكم ويغفر لكم ذنوبكم ومن يطع الله ورسوله فقد فاز فوزا عظيما أما بعد فإن أصدق الحديث كتاب الله وخير الهدي هدي محمد صلى الله عليه وسلم وشر الأمور محدثاتها وكل محدثة بدعة وكل بدعة ضلالة وكل ضلالة في النار. Brothers and sisters, we have just a month until the guest of Ramadan enters our doors. And we pray as always that Allah allows us to benefit from this month. Last week, in our preparing for Ramadan journey, we discussed the idea of forgiving others. The idea to keep our hearts clean and pure so that our deeds go to Allah, and that with us being forgiving, that inshallah Allah will make us amongst the forgiven. Today, brothers and sisters, I want us to focus on another fear and doubt that creeps in the hearts of many of us as the month draws nearer, and that is the fear that with this month, with the obligations and responsibilities and duties that I already have, Ramadan may be something that I am unable to take advantage of. That I will just squeak by doing the bare minimum, making sure that I do the obligatory fast, and that I will not be able to do much more. We feel that our capability is only of a certain amount, and so we feel that I will keep my ibadah up to a certain point. This is what I used to do in the last 2-3 Ramadans, and I'll keep to that same type of level. Now, while that can be praiseworthy in that you are keeping to a consistency, the Islamic injunction, the Qur'anic injunction, is that we try our best to level up. We try our best to grow in our abilities. And the point isn't just to have a better Ramadan every year. That is a big part of it. But the bigger goal, the bigger objective that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala wants us all to learn is that each one of us, each one of you, has extraordinary capabilities and the ability to accomplish the seemingly impossible because you have Allah by your side. What seemed daunting for you, perhaps when you were a kid, when you were a child, and someone said, when you grow up, you will do all of these things, and you will face all of these situations, and you will have all of these challenges. You would probably look at them in amazement that I will have to go through this? But then you see that you are able to get through it, and you're able to do even more than that by the will of Allah. But that comes from a very strong place of iman. Even our beloved Prophet Muhammad ﷺ, when he received that prophethood, and he went to the cousin of his wife, Waraqah, and he's talking to him about what happened, and Waraqah tells him that this prophethood that you just received means that your people will turn against you, they will revile you, and they will even kick you out of your own city. And he says, my people? The people that call me as-Sadiq al-Amin, the trustworthy one? The one that safeguards everything? The one, he was known as being amongst the most loved? My people will turn against me? And so there's this feeling that if we were to find out some things about the future, that we would be astounded. But by the will of Allah, we will be able to accomplish great things, inshallah, both in Ramadan and outside of Ramadan as well. Brothers and sisters, afternoon, I wanted to focus specifically in thinking about this idea of being able to achieve the impossible, of being able to surmount certain obstacles, certain challenges. I wanted to focus on the story of Musa alayhi salam. Similar to how the Prophet ﷺ, we just discussed when some of the scenes that happened when he first became a prophet. Musa ﷺ has a very unique story that, as we know, as mentioned in Surah Taha and Surah Qasas and other places, that Musa ﷺ was with his family traveling and he sees a fire and he says, let me go see if there's some provision, if there's something there for us. And then he goes and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala himself directly talks to him. Innani ana Allahu la ilaha illa ana fa'budni wa aqim as-salata li dhikri. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is introducing himself, telling him that I'm your Lord, that you should worship me. Telling him of the pillars of Islam, of the pillars of Iman, in their Sharia, in their context, around prayer, around charity, around the last day, and so on. Musa alayhi salam hears this and he receives the injunction, go to Fir'aun and talk to him. Innahu tagha. He is verily a very evil person, a person who does a lot of wrongdoing. Musa alayhi salam is no stranger to Fir'aun. He literally grew up in the house, in what we would call the nest of the hornet. He knew how treacherous Fir'aun was. He knew his antics from the inside out. He didn't have to imagine it. He experienced it. He saw it. He escaped from it. And now he's being told, go back to it. And don't just go back to live in secrecy, go back and confront the Fir'aun, the worst man imaginable. And the first thing Musa alayhi salam says is, he starts making dua to Allah and he says, Rabbi shrah li sadri, wa yassir li amri. He says, oh Allah, expand my chest, give me the ability to speak and make it easy for me. Wahlul uqdatan min lisani, and make it that my tongue is able to say what I need to say. يَفْقَهُ قَوْلِي وَجَعَلْ لِي وَزِيرًا مِنْ أَهْلِي. And then he says, oh Allah, give me from my own family a helper, an advisor, a companion, someone who can be there with me. هَارُونَ أَخِي. And a good person for that would be my own brother, Harun, Aaron. أُشْدُدْ بِهِ أَزْرِي. Make it that I am helped by him, I am strengthened by his help. وَأَشْرِكْهُ فِي أَمْرِي. And that he can share in the responsibilities. In the same way that many of us, when we're growing up and life hits us and we have all these challenges, we look for that spouse, we look for that mate, we look for those helpers. Whether it be our spouse or someone else, we look for that help to help us through all the difficulties that we have. And after making all these very specific requests, he ties it back to the goal. كَيْ نُسَبِّحَكَ كَثِيرًا وَنَذْكُرَكَ كَثِيرًا. That we may be able to glorify you a lot, and that we may be able to remember you a lot. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala responds with a very powerful message. He says, قَالَ قَدْ أُوتِيتَ سُؤْلَكَ يَا مُوسَى. He says, subhanahu wa ta'ala, we will grant you everything you've asked for. You want a clear way of speaking, you want your chest expanded, you want your brother as a helper, you want your affairs to be made easy, all of them will happen. And then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala doesn't stop there. He continues and says, وَلَقَدْ مَنَنَّا عَلَيْكَ مَرَّةً أُخْرَى. Verily, we have helped you before this. Before this moment where you made this dua, where you asked me to help you, and I told you I will help you, I have helped you before this as well. This isn't the first time. And what's beautiful for us, brothers and sisters, from just this specific point, is that many times for us, we feel that we are the ones in control, and whatever we do happens because as a result of our actions. But we see three different things happening here. One is that Musa alayhi salam, of course you have the action, but number two, the dua, asking Allah, realizing you need that help. But number three, even when you did not have the capability or even the thought of making dua, when you were just a child, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala helped you then as well. And Allah helped every single one of us as children. That it is truly a miracle if you look at a baby and how helpless it is, how it is able to become a functioning, competent, capable adult. Truly a miracle. And then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala reminds him and tells him the story of what happened when he was just a baby. إِذْ أَوْحَيْنَا إِلَى أُمِّكَ مَا يُوحَى. That we revealed to your mom, to your own mother, O Moses, O Musa, to let you go. To first put you into a chest, into a basket, and to throw you into the river. Alqih. Alqah comes from the word meaning to throw. It doesn't mean to gently put down and let the gentle water take you away. But imagine if there was a torrent of water, fast moving water as you may see in a river, and to fling you into it. And the context, as we know, was that it was the custom of the Pharaoh and his henchmen, of his evil followers, that they would selectively kill from Bani Israel. Not based on any specific factor, just 1 year we'll let you live, 1 year we will kill you. Acting as if they are Lord. That they give life and death. They choose if you get to live, they choose if you get to die. Just from this power trip, this feeling of control, this feeling of needing to put others down. Musa as-Salam is in a precarious situation because he, as a baby, is born in the year when the babies are supposed to be killed. And his mom knows this very well. And just imagine the extreme level of anxiety that she already has, knowing that any moment someone will enter through the door and they will take her baby and they will kill him in front of her. Imagine any mom needing to go through this. Imagine any parent needing to go through this. And so the order comes down that when you feel this fear, when you feel that they might be close, when the situation may get very difficult, pack him up and throw him into the river. He is being reminded of this as he's receiving prophethood. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala continues and says that in this verse as well as in the verses in Surah Qasas, that inna radduhu ilayk. That don't worry, la takhafi wa la tahzani, inna radduhu ilayk. That don't worry, don't grieve, don't fear. Even though what's about to happen is very scary, even though this is a very difficult moment, do not worry, do not grieve. If we, as the readers of the Qur'an, take a step back and look at what is happening, it is very powerful, it is very moving. We see a story happening in abstract about the story of Musa alayhi salam and him making a dua and him being reminded not to be scared yourself when you go to Fir'aun. And the way he's being told, don't be scared, don't be fearful, is remember, your mom was told the same thing about you. And you made it okay. Meaning that the story, the lesson for us as Muslims reading the Qur'an, is that the same way that Musa was taken care of, in the same way that Musa's mother was taken care of, you will be taken care of. Whatever troubles you have happening in your life, whatever challenges that you have in front of you that feel impossible to pass, whether it be the challenges of Ramadan or outside of it, you will be helped. And do not fear them. Do not fear. The reality will still take place. There will still be very difficult things. Musa a.s. was still flung into the river. There was still no idea of where he was going. It was not that he magically started flying as soon as the dua happened. The basket went further out. There was no seeing. The mother could not see any further. And she was filled with anxiety. But her heart changed. وَأَصْبَحَ فُؤَادُ أُمِّ مُوسَى فَارِغًا. That is said that as the basket went, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala tells us that her heart became empty. devoid of everything else, just lifeless, dead, just consumed by this one thought that where's my baby? Is my baby okay? Will my baby make it? Because it's very possible that the basket could have floated to the bottom. It could have just not floated. It's possible that with her flinging it, that the basket would open and the baby would drown. Just imagine that, if you've ever been to, for example, a swimming pool and you see a baby, just go even into the 1 foot, 2 feet area, a mother will still move everyone out the way and make sure to get the baby if the baby wasn't meant to be there, if the baby's without any type of supervision. That's with just 2 feet of water. Imagine a river with 20 feet, 50 feet of water and this helpless baby that's in a basket that can't help itself. Imagine the trouble, the anxiety, the grief that she was having. It is said about children that it is like a piece of your heart walking around. It is a piece of your heart walking around. And all parents can attest to this. And so imagine this piece of your heart floating away from you and you're not able to protect it and you can't even scream. You can't even call out for help. You can't even cry out loud. Because if you are to do so, the soldiers of Fir'aun would hear, would realize what happened, and they would deal with the baby. They would give it that unfavorable outcome. And so just imagine the situation that she's in, that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is reminding Musa and in turn reminding all of us about. A very precarious situation. But Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says that she would have spoke, لَوْلَا أَرَّبَطْنَا عَلَى قَلْبِهَا. Had we not made her heart firm, had we not made her heart able to take this, had we not given it strength and resolve, لِتَكُونَ مِنَ الْمُؤْمِنِينَ, to make her from the believers, to see if she would truly believe. Brothers and sisters, every single person in this room has a different challenge that they are going through. A different set of difficulties and tests from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala that they are going through. But what we have is something really special, that we can get through this. We know that we can get through this. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has told us, لا يكلف الله نفسا إلا وسعها, that no soul will be burdened with a difficulty that they cannot bear. That all of us have been given challenges, yes, but we've also been given the means to go through them. And it gets easier to go through them the closer we are to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Because then it's not just about us, we are relying on Allah. We realize that we were never in control. That basket could have gone anywhere. That basket could have gone to the floor of the sea. It could have toppled over. But Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala made sure that it was okay. And He didn't just make the basket float. The basket floated to a very specific place. To the home of Fir'aun itself. It's as if you're reading a story and you thought the worst already took place, but then you find out, oh my God, he's ending up in the Pharaoh's household. And you would imagine at this point, the story is over. Fir'aun would realize that this baby was put in the river because a mother was trying to escape the punishment that was set on Bani Israel. And as a result, he would also be killed. But Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala was involved in the process, just as He is involved in our process, in our lives, in our own process. وَأَلْقَيْتُ عَلَيْكَ مَحَبَّةً مِّنِّي. And we gave you love, we granted you love from ourselves. And this love is what prompted the wife of Fir'aun to say to Fir'aun that let's keep him, perhaps he will be a coolness of our eyes, perhaps he will be a comfort to us. And Fir'aun listened to his wife in this case. And so, brothers and sisters, what we learn from this are a few lessons. Number one, how Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala decides to help you may come from a very surprising place, may come from the place that you expect the least. Musa alayhi salam, he's making this very clear dua while he's having this conversation that I think I will be helped if my speech impediment is taken care of, if my ability to take care of the affairs taken care of, and if I get my brother. If these things happen, these specific tactical solutions happen, then I'll be able to handle it. But Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is reminding him that even with your tongue clear, even with your brother to help, you still need Allah, because those are just means. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is still the one in control. And He reminds him of a time when his brother couldn't even help. And He reminds him of a time when he couldn't even speak himself. When he was just a helpless baby in a basket in the middle of a river. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is saying, I helped you then, and I will help you now. And that is why when Musa alayhi salam later is running away from the Pharaoh with Bani Israel, and Bani Israel is freaking out. Bani Israel is at their wits' end, seeing the army of Fir'aun come down, hell-bent on killing all of them. And they just have water in front of them. Musa alayhi salam reminds them again. When they are saying that they're going to be ended, he says, Kalla, inna ma'iya rabbi sayahdin. No, with me is my Lord. He will absolutely help us. And when he was a baby, it was him on a basket going down the river. Now, it was the sea split for him. The same body of water, but Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is teaching us another lesson. That how He decides to help you can change. And the way He decides to help each one of us could be different. And it could be different when we were younger, and it could be different when we are older. And so, brothers and sisters, while we may not have something so drastic in our lives where our children are being ruthlessly killed, at least here, and we ask Allah to help our brothers and sisters who are facing these situations across the world, in China, in Palestine, all across the world. We ask Allah to help all of them. But it is a reminder for us first and foremost that this world will feel very difficult, and it will feel that there is no out of the pain that we are going through, and there is no way out. Allah is reminding you, I am here with you. As He told Musa and Harun, that I am with you, asma wa ara. I see everything, I hear everything. أقول قولي هذا واستغفر لي ولكم ولسائر المسلمين فاستغفروا إنه هو الغفور الرحيم. الحمد لله والصلاة والسلام على رسول الله وعلى آله وصحبه ومن والاه. Brothers and sisters, as we get closer towards Ramadan, let us aim to make this the best Ramadan ever. Let us aim and have certain goals for ourselves that we did not have in past Ramadans. We may feel that we only have certain capabilities, but Allah is reminding us that we can do so much more because He will be involved in the process. He will help. The mahabbah, the love that Fir'aun and his wife Asiyah felt towards Musa did not come just from him. It came from Allah. That anxiety, that grief that made Musa's mother almost speak and almost say what she wanted to did not stop because of her herself. It came from Allah, the relief that she needed. That speech impediment, the inability to speak and communicate and say what needed to be said, was not resolved from speech therapy or from other mechanisms just done by humans. It was resolved by Allah. Those helpers that Musa had, his sister, as she watched him and then recommended that he be breastfed by his mother who took care of him and followed the instructions of Allah, his brother who helped him as a wazir, as a helper later on, all of these people in his life that provided him support. His father-in-law who gave him a job and took care of him for so long and wedded him to his daughter. His wife who provided support as he's going through all this difficulty. His followers, Bani Israel, that were around him. All of this came from Allah. All of this came from Allah. And we too in our lives have people around us that will help us, inshaAllah. We have Allah on our side that will help us at times when we think we can't do it, but we can do it. Because we have Allah on our side. But we will only have the help of Allah if we follow His instructions, if we follow His commands, His obligations. And so this Ramadan, push yourself harder. And the goal is, of course, for consistency, not to push ourselves one day and that's it. But whatever goal you make it that inshallah, throughout the entire month, I will do this. Whether it is increasing in your salawat, in praying them on time or the quantity of them, whether it is the quality of your fasting, meaning that you're not just staying away from food and drink, but you're fasting your eyes, you're fasting your limbs, you're fasting your soul from things that you may want to indulge in Ramadan beyond the food and drink. Whether it is charity, whatever it is, make a goal to go further and trust Allah will help you with it. For He truly will. Bi-idhnillahi ta'ala. We ask Allah to accept from the good that we do. We ask Allah to help us to reach the month of Ramadan and to take advantage of it. And we ask Allah to fill our hearts with yaqeen and tawakkul in Him, the same way that Musa, his mother and his family had in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. ربنا آتنا في الدنيا حسنة وفي الآخرة حسنة وقنا عذاب النار ربنا لا تزغ قلوبنا بعد إذ هديتنا وهب لنا من لدنك رحمة إنك أنت الوهاب واقم الصلاة